Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So I have an interesting game this time. This is another Skype game, long distance between me and Malorian. He actually emailed me, I believe, yesterday, and he was just kind of asking if I ever played against Orcs and Goblins very often, if I had the opportunity to. And I mean, obviously, I don't all that much. And so, in talking about it, we said, hey, why don't we play a game? So, I've been wanting to try out vampire counts because it's an army that I eventually want to get. So, I put together a list using his models. He's hosting the game. He brought his super orc list, which was a very soft orcs and goblins list, and we decided to play a different kind of scenario that I'll explain shortly. So, basically, in this game, the orcs are out to secure some crossings across this river. So there's a bridge and a ford. And I've labeled in this picture because the pictures for this game keep switching back and forth from the table side, and so it gets confusing about where stuff is. And so I'll try to help you out by referring to the bridge and the ford instead of left or right or something like that. So basically, if you control the bridge at the end of the game, you get 4 victory points. If you control the ford, you get 2 victory points. And any unit you have on the other side of the river, as long as it's over, I think, 25% of its starting value, you get an extra victory point. So it's really only about, securing the crossings to the river. So let's see, starting on the left, going through the Orcs and Goblin list, on the bridge side, he's got a giant, 15 air boys right behind that house, 50 night goblins. The night goblins have a fanatic. Then he has kind of a conga line of units. He's got a Mangler Squig, and then a Troll, and then a Doom Diver, a unit of Black Orcs, and then some regular Orcs, and this one has a Night Goblin attached to it who is the Battle Standard Bearer. And then right next to them, behind the house, it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but there he has Super Orc, who's his general. He's a Savage Orc war boss. He can fly. He's got a good armor save. He can reroll it once during the game. Extra hand weapon. So relying on mobility and just kind of being a BA by his general stats. So Super Orc. Then there's a Wolf Chariot, 5 Spider Riders, and then a unit of 9 Wolf Riders with a Goblin Shaman on a Wolf, level 4 with a Dispel Scroll. And then on the Ford side, let's see, 15 Squigs in a Squig herd. He's got 5 Boar Boys. Behind it's a Boar Chariot, and then he's got a unit of Savage Orcs with Spears. So, like I said, it's really kind of a fluffy list. It's not optimized in a lot of different ways. It's kind of fun. Starting on the right side of this picture, on what I call the Ford side, that Bone Giant is a Vargulf. Then I've got 5 Hex Wraiths being proxied by those Tomb King's light cav. I've got a unit of 30 zombies behind him, and then that War Sphinx is standing in for a Black Coach. And then next to that, right by the river, I've got 6. They look like trolls. They're standing in for Vargeists. Let's see. Then I've got Crypt Ghouls, and this has a level 1 vampire. I make him always strikes first. The Fear Incarnate didn't really come into play during the game. He's got a 5 up ward and a Sword of Battle. Then I've got 40-ish skeletons with hand weapon shield, with my vampire lord with a whole list of stuff. Stuff I've always wanted to play with. He's level 4, Red Fury. The Master Strike I never really used in this game. The Aura of Dark Majesty lowers leadership by 1 within 6 inches, and so that came into play. I gave him ASF through the sword. The Earthing Rod I never used, and he's got a 4 up ward save. Next to that, I'm using the Mortis engine, and this is kind of a pieced together model using some different spirit hosts and stuff. And then I've got another unit of 31 zombies. So all that is right in front of the bridge. So this is looking down the side of the table. On the forward side, my Hex Wraiths Vanguard up, as you can see. And then I win the turn for the roll for first turn. So we see the board from the vampire's point of view. On the right hand side is the bridge. Really, I take the zombies into the house. They're not behind it, they're in it, just to get them out of the way. And then I take the Crypt Ghouls, the skeletons, both with my vampires, and then the Mortis engine towards the main bridge. If you look in the middle where all the trees are, that's where I have my Vargeist. There's 6 of them, and I kind of just fly them over the river and land what really is kind of before the woods, but whatever, about where the woods is. On the left-hand side, I didn't even move my Hex Wraiths. I liked where they were. I moved up my Vargulf a little bit. My zombies over there cannot march, so they just moved up as far as they could, and I kept the Black Coach near them because I'm waiting for him to get beefed up through the magic phases. In the magic phase, it was a perfect roll for me. 4 power dice, 3 dispel dice. I threw all 4 dice at Gaze into Gash, which is the only spell that my level 1 has, and it kills the Mangler Squig. So nobody failed their panic test, which would have been nice, but I really didn't want to deal with that Mangler Squig, so very, very happy that it left the table early in the game. So we go to Orc and Goblin turn 1. First off, his Orc Boar Boys fail their animosity test, and they have to charge something, so he charges my Vargulf. And I was kind of worried about that until Malorian started telling me their stats are only strength 4, and then I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. I'm not that worried about it. Otherwise, it looks like this. We have the ford on the right and the bridge on the left. If you look on the ford, he just takes his Savage Orcs with spears closer to the bridge. Anyway, you can see what he did there. In the middle, he took his Spider Riders up just in front of my Vargeists and has a Wolf Chariot hanging back. And on the left in front of the bridge, you can see he just has his units not being too aggressive, doesn't want to get double charged, hanging out as you can see. During the magic phase, he is able to kill 3 of the Hex Wraiths, and then you can see his he kind of moved his super orc to where he's hiding behind that tower. So after combat, yeah, the Vargulf just slaps around the boar boys. I think I killed 3 of them, broke them in combat, ran them down, and ran farther than I wanted to, but he got in with these Savage Orcs. This is a weird thing. I probably would have put him farther away from the Squig herd, but Malorian had no way of knowing what my plans were, so he put him there, and I didn't notice it over the Skype. So Vampire Count's turn 2. You know, in doing this battle report, I'm so afraid I'm going to miss stuff. There's so much going on, so many units. Let's see, starting on the left, I take the Hex Wraiths into the same combat that the Vargulf is in, and they couldn't go on the side near the Squig herd because in doing that I wouldn't be maximizing models, which is a shame because had I been there, if Malorian countercharges with the Squig herd, they're not going to hurt my Vargulf. But anyway, we did it as you can see there. In the middle, my Vargeist ignored the spiders and declared a charge against the chariot because they can fly. And the chariot fled, ran right off the table. I redirected into the spiders. Look on the far right. My skeletons with my general charged the troll right in front of who's really on the bridge. And my fear there is that, you know, should I beat the troll, I'm going to overrun. I'm going to hit the Night Goblins, which should set up a counter charge by the Black Orcs into the flank of my skeletons, and that could get ugly. But you know, I'm hoping to counter that. And if you look on the far right, I took my Mortis Engine into the Giant, which seems like not the correct role for a Mortis Engine, but to me it kind of made sense because 1, I get impact hits this turn. 2, at the beginning of all my turns from now on, it's got this special attack at the start of my turn where enemy units take a certain number of hits, so I can get wounds on the Giant that way. And then during the shooting phase, even though the Giant's leadership 10, I force him to roll at a 2 penalty, and he can take wounds that way. So my thinking is the Mortis Engine should be able to hold up, if not kill that Giant, and still be available for other buffs for which I need it. During the magic phase, I'm able to raise dead and get a unit of zombies up to redirect the Black Orcs. So now, if I kill that troll, which I'm thinking I will, I'll overrun into the Night Goblins, and the Black Orcs will not be able to countercharge me. They'll have to charge the zombies. They'll kill them, but at least it should save my general's unit. So after combat, it looks like that. My general's unit is in with the goblins. My Mortis Engine is tied up with the Giant. I think I did 2 wounds on him, but otherwise he's okay. The River Trolls kill the spiders very easily. I overrun like 11 and actually kind of bounce against that building, and they are set up for a flank charge by Super Orc should he want to do it, because Super Orc's behind that tower and he has my flank. There we go. We go to Orc turn 2, starting on the right at the ford. His Squig Hoppers come into the flank of my Vargulf, and that is not going to go well for the Vampire Counts. His Super Orc goes into the flank of the Vargeist. I have no idea what to expect there. It seems to me that Super Orc is a little bit outmanned. We'll see how BA he is, but yeah, that's tough. His Black Orcs charge into the zombies, and His goblins are already in combat with my skeletons. So after combat, let's start on the right where the forward is. Yeah, he comes into the flank of my Vargolf. My Vargolf is sitting on 1 wound. My Hex Wraiths pop through combat res. Super Orc comes in and just between wounds and combat res kills half of the unit of Vargeist. I was very impressed with what he was able to do. I'm not sure how Malorian's marking that die with a 2 on it. I think I only did 1 wound and he's sitting with 2 wounds left. It's possible that I give him 2 wounds. I'm really not sure. His Black Orcs kill my zombies and reform to face my skeletons. My skeletons beat the Night Goblins. He's steadfast, but his leadership isn't very good. Plus, he's -1 leadership because of the item that I gave or the vampire power I gave my general. So they flee, and I opt to restrain because my turn is coming up, and I want to be able to charge whatever I want to charge. So my thinking is, if the goblins don't run off the table, I can just charge them and then redirect into. I don't want to go into the Black Orcs because it scares me. I know he has great weapons and he has extra choppas. He could probably just kill my unit through combat res, be ugly. I want to charge right by him and hit his battle standard bearers unit. So that's why I did that. If you look up top, the Mortis Engine and the Giant are still going back and forth. Don't know where the Giant's at wounds. I probably didn't do any. I think he's sitting on 2, but he's not really hurting me either because I've got regen. So Vampire counts turn 3. We have the Ford on the left. So he's taking this from my point of view. This picture, the Black Coach comes into the flank of the Squig Hoppers. I think I've got, at the end of my magic phase, 4 of the 6 possible upgrades for the Black Coach. So he's not ethereal yet, but he's nothing to sneeze at either. And the Vargolf only has 1 wound, so the nice thing about that is he's not going to get a whole lot of combat res by wounding the Vargolf. And he's not going to have too many attacks versus the Black Coach. So I think the Black Coach is safe this turn. I should win combat. We'll see if I can break him. Let's see, on the right-hand side, I do indeed charge his Night Goblins off the table and then redirect into his Battle Standard Bearers unit. I can only clip him because his just the way he's positioned with his Black Orcs there, but clipping him is just fine with me. And this is the same combat, just a different angle. This is actually after the magic phase. So the spells I took from my level 4 are, the signature spell, and then, like reroll to hit, reroll to wound, and raise dead. So really, there's no big nasty spell, just a lot of little buffs, which is kind of how I like the vampires to work. Because I like a lot of little spells going off because I can heal wounds of my general and stuff like that. Well, anyway, despite not throwing many dice, I got a miscast. It kills a bunch of skeletons and took them out of line of sight of the Black Orcs, which doesn't really matter because I probably would have reformed anyway to get out of their line of sight. But I think that's why that picture was taken. And this is just weird things happening everywhere. So if you look on the right, there's a blue splat on the right-hand side of this picture. That is the Mortis Engine dead. Basically, I've done 4 wounds to his Giant through all those different methods that I talked about. I mean, I've got like 2d6 attacks. I've got the Banshee type howl. I've got the special attack at the beginning of my turn. All those things, I've done 4 wounds to the Giant. He finally did a few wounds to me and then popped me through combat res. If you look a little left of that, over the bridge, my general's unit charged into his Night Goblin, into his Orc Battle Standard Bearer unit, beat him through combat res. He was steadfast, but he didn't have much leadership nearby, and he broke. I restrained. He ran off the table, and I turned so the Black Orcs could not see me, but that I should be able to charge him pretty easily. In the middle, my Super Orc is now dead. The Vargeist were able to kill him. You can see he really just didn't do that many wounds to me this turn, and I just, those guys are pretty tough. And then just up from them, where all his Wolf Riders were, and he had his level 4 spellcaster in there, they failed their panic test and ran off the board. So that is, and then on the far left, the Black Coach came to the flank of the Squigs, beat them. They failed their break test and exploded. Didn't do any wounds to the Black Coach. At that point, the Savage Orcs with spears were out of combat because the Vargolf was dead. They failed their panic and ran away. So they're not off the table, but they can't exactly countercharge either. So a huge turn in the game right there. Everything everything went south for the Orcs and Goblins. He went from 3 characters on the board to 0 characters on the board, and I am liking my position. So we go to Orcs and Goblins turn 3. Let's see, here on the left is the bridge. His black orcs charge my crypt ghouls with my level 1. And I'm a little bit scared of that because I'm very scared of these black orcs. But for the most part, as long as he can't kill all of them, I can come in next time with my general and see what we can do. If you look on the far left, his giant charges my zombies, and he's going to eventually win that. I just need to hold him up for a while. If you look on the far right, his savage orcs with spears rally. So nothing much happened. You can see he killed a few crypt horrors. The nice thing about crypt horrors is they have that, I think, 5-up regen, and then when they attack, they have poison. And plus, of course, I have a vampire in there. So yeah, they're pretty tough. So I charge in, and then during the magic phase, I get the spell off to where every unit within however many inches, I think it's 12 or 18, whatever it is, they all can reroll to hit. And so that's what those dice are there for. So, the crypt ghouls have poison, so, when any misses, they can reroll and maybe get more poison. Yeah, for the most part, I like my odds against the black orcs. There on the left, I'm really hoping the zombies, just if they can re-roll to hit, just roll enough sixes. There's only 2 wounds left on this giant. If they can just get a couple sixes to wound, they can take care of him. So, and another thing that happened on his last turn, his chariot came to the rear of my Vargeists and did a bunch of damage, but he was down to 1 wound. During my phase, if you look in the middle of the table, the blue splat, the last remaining Vargeist took the last remaining wound off of his boar chariot. So it's dead, which is very nice. Yeah, the black orcs never even got a chance to swing back. Just with all the poison, all the hits, I had 2 vampires. The vampires especially, I think they killed 8 or 9 between the 2 of them. Just went to town. The giant is still tied up with the zombies. He's killed them down to 3, which is fine because on his turn he won't be able to charge. He'll kill the rest of the zombies, and then I can charge him on my next turn. So Orc turn 4, he takes his Savage Orcs over the ford into my zombies. Yeah, I like this well enough. I think he's going to win. He's not going to pop them all, and my Black Coach can countercharge into the rear on my next turn. If you look on the far left, after combat, his giant just reforms after killing the rest of my zombies over there. His air boys leave the house, but really that's all he has left on the table. He's got air boys, jeez, I can't say it, a giant, and then the savage orcs with spears, and he's got a doom diver that's just not doing anything. Vampire counts turn 4. If you look on the far left, I try to take the Black Coach into the rear of the savage orcs, and he fails his charge, which in hindsight may be good because there's enough zombies there that I'm just going to feed him a lot of combat res, and it might have popped the Black Coach anyway. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Failed his charge. If you look on the right, I tried to charge my crypt ghouls as well as my skeletons into the giant, just because the crypt ghouls have poison, and it gave me 2 vampires, and whatever. The crypt ghouls failed their charge, so everybody is as you can see them. Yeah, after combat, they did a lot of wounds. Had I charged my Black Coach in there, my Black Coach would have popped through combat res. And then over here, yeah, the general just kind of took the last 2 wounds off the giant, killed it. I was re-rolling to hit, re-rolling to wound, so it wasn't all that tough. And yeah. So after combat, here he killed the last of my zombies and reformed the Savage Orcs on the ford to face my Black Coach, which is fine with me. Go to Orcs turn 5. His air boys tried to charge around my general's unit to hit the flank of the Crypt Ghouls and failed to charge. So really nothing's going right for the Orcs and Goblins. Vampire counts turn 6. I say why not? At this point I only need 1 or 2 more to be fully ethereal and flying, and during my magic phase I got them. So this thing, they can't hurt me anyway except through combat res. I know when I charge in I'm going to win combat, or at least I should. And he's going to be steadfast, so either he's going to make it or not. And let's see, over here my general's unit charges his airborns. He flees and I catch him running down. I win, he's steadfast, and he passes. We go to their turn. This time he wins combat. Takes 2 wounds off my Black Coach through combat res, but at that point it doesn't matter because that's the last turn. So we both contest this crossing. And so on the left at the ford is contested. On the right, the bridge I easily control, so that's 4 victory points. I've got my general's unit over the bridge, so that's a total of 5 victory points. So it's a solid win for the vampire counts. Really, uh, I don't know what to say about the game except for it's nice when you have a turn when you kill all of his characters, and one turn is when everything turns around. Having played Vampire Counts for the first time, I actually kind of enjoyed playing them. I like the Vargeists a lot. I like their flexibility, that they cause terror and can fly. I like that my units seem to, even the ones like zombies are so cheap and they just lose a lot of wounds, but it seems like this game there was always like 3 or 4 of them left at the end of combat just to hold them up one more turn, which was very, very nice. So anyway, Super Orc was not able to secure the bridgehead, and victory to the Vampire Counts. Hope you enjoyed it.